Today, we're going to be talking about the 3 things that you need to start doing so that you can be killing Prokel consistently and be the hero that your party wants you to be and that you also want to be. Let's go ahead and get into it. While we're going over these points, I'm going to allow this background clear of hard mode Prokel to run. That way you can see all of the normal patterns, all of the white patterns, and see how I deal with them in those specific situations as we are talking about these 3 main points as well. The first big tip that we're going to cover today is the fact that you need to start segmenting the fight into multiple fights. Prokel has 2 modes, PvE and PvP. Now you're going to fight him 2 times in each of those modes. Of course, he starts off in PvE, then goes to PvP, switches back to PvE, and then goes back to PvP mode. Understanding how his mechanics work and the snarky things that he does in each one of these modes will better allow you to align your strategy to defeat him. In terms of the PvE fight, this is basically turn-based and you need to treat it as such. Sometimes you're going to get really good patterns that he's busy doing a lot of actions while you're just staying there attacking at his back. And sometimes he does really annoying patterns that are quick, they follow one another, and you don't really get a whole lot of opportunity to do more than 1 or 2 skills. This is the most annoying part about fighting him in PvE, is that you cannot interrupt him with things like stun moves or earthquake moves, or moves that toss him up or knock him back, anything like that. Now for PvP mode, this is where you can fully embrace your inner demon and really start to interrupt him. There are different skills that you have that will toss an enemy up in the air or interrupt their movement, or maybe has an earthquake effect, which is a full stun, which is really good. What you need to do is take a look at all of your skills. And as you can see, even on Glaivier skills like Vault, it will toss the enemy up in the air, and it literally describes that in the skill. So all you need to do is read what the skill does, and if it includes anything like knocking the enemy back, throwing them in the air, anything like that, then that's a great skill to use against Prokel when he is PvPing. Now I'll show some examples here of just using these skills to interrupt his attacks, which most of his attacks in PvP mode can be interrupted unless he's performing one of his skills and he's in the middle of it. But even some of those can also be interrupted. The one major other thing that you need to understand about PvP mode is for his elongated attack patterns in PvE, where he would typically just stand still and continue attacking in one direction. For PvP mode, he will turn and face you. So make sure not to start attacking too early and then get hit by one of these elongated attack patterns, because it will hurt. Now this brings me to my second major point of fighting Prokel. Always be moving, and preferably you want to be moving around Prokel, not just in front of him zigzagging and things like that. You want to be moving around him, because all of his attacks are always facing forward. He doesn't have any attacks where he sends spikes out the backside of him or anything like that, right? So you need to make sure that you're always moving around Prokel. And an extra added tip is that if he's against the wall, especially in PvE mode when you cannot juggle him up with a skill or you can interrupt his attacks or anything like that, it would be highly preferable to just bait him back out to the middle of the arena, where you can again maneuver around him and you have plenty of space to evade and create opportunities for you to get your attacks in. And my third and final major tip is slow and steady wins the race. And yeah, I understand. Everything is easier when you're doing more damage and it's over quicker, but it can't be over quicker if you're dead. So make sure to keep that mantra in your head when you're fighting Prokel, because he can be extremely frustrating at times, especially when he goes into multiple patterns that don't really allow you to do a whole lot or to do any combos, but you will get it. And remember that fighting Prokel in the training arena is exceptionally more hard than fighting him in the actual raid. The biggest reason for this is that in the training arena, you gather stacks that count against you as you continually fight Prokel, and they stack up to times 10. Now you're going to take more damage every time you have one of these stacks, and it becomes a bit ridiculous, as in you can die pretty much by 1 bad attack pattern or 2 bad attack patterns in a row, and it gets pretty rough. But in the real raid, you can just exit the arena at one of the several opportunities that you have to go back to the outside fight and be cleansed of those stacks. Plus, you will have Thyrane and Azina to use as sidereal skills, and you will also have extra attempts to do damage whenever your teammate brings the outside boss's health down to 0. Prokel will be staggered on the inside, so you have much more advantage to fighting him in the real raid. So if you can consistently defeat him in the training arena, beating him in the real raid will not be a problem at all because of all the advantages. With that being said, you definitely still need to put in the practice and get comfortable with this fight. So get into the arena. That's the only way that you're going to get better at doing so, is just putting in some work and remembering these 3 major tips. Make sure and leave a like on this video and consider subscribing if you thought any of these tips were helpful in your fight against Prokel. These are the 3 biggest things that I noticed helped me clear him for the first time, and I know that they will help you too. I'm going to let you finish watching this hard mode clear, and I will see you on the next video.
It was at this moment that he knew. He f***ed up.